Okay, we're back with another community stream all about Walmart tonight. We are doing lead vetting with Brian Limitless, second edition of the Walmart chat. He did the Ask Me Anything that is now available for replay. And tonight we are going to go through vetting leads. Exciting for me because I'm trying to get into Walmart a little bit more. I was actually out sourcing with Claudia today, and we were talking a lot about Walmart, but we need the power of Brian in our lives to help us understand exactly how this Walmart thing works. So he's going to get us started. He's been crushing on Walmart. Actually, if you don't follow him on social media, you should. He documents everything. He's got the cool Meta glasses, and he's out in the streets every day showing us how to get it done. And tonight, he's going to walk us through it step by step, how to vet these leads. It's a little bit different with Walmart. The data isn't as good. There aren't a lot of tools available, but he knows about them all. And maybe we'll even talk about, I don't know if you saw the announcement today, Brian, WAMP is now available, the seller AMP version for Walmart. I haven't even had a chance to click on the extension yet, but that's also out. So the game is changing a little bit. If you haven't gotten on a Walmart, now is the time. And Brian's gonna help you understand a little bit more tonight.
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for the introduction there, Omar. So I heard you got to meet up with somebody earlier. I'd first like to hear the power behind just getting out there and actually meeting some of these people that you meet online. First off, where did you meet Claudia? And two, how was that experience real quick?
Yeah, so for me, I mean, if anybody knows me, I'm all about networking. You can go to my website, thegapking.com, set up time to chat, to source online, or hey, if you're local, we could do it in person. I met Claudia on a call we did last week. It was a Walmart call, which was amazing. That was your first call. It feels like we're going to do a series of these Walmart calls. Maybe we should do that. But at the end of the call, we somehow started talking about this sourcing trip that I had coming up, which was Friday and Saturday. My buddy Paolo was coming from Virginia to New Jersey, and we were like, hey, don't waste your vacation vacationing. Let's source. And we had a 3-part sourcing trip. Friday, I missed part of it. They were sourcing the Gap grocery outlet and Ollie's, I think. And then we got back together later at night I think we ended up at Walmart at like 9:00 at night. We were in there for an hour. And then Eva, another person who was on the call, she drove up and we met at another Walmart. So we were there for like an hour, and we ended up like talking in the parking lot for like 2 hours. And then Saturday was crazy, absolute chaos. I've never done it before. But we sourced with, I was doing a count today, I think it was 7 people. Me, Eva, Paolo, Lynn, Louis. It was a bunch of us. We went to like 3 grocery outlets and 4 Ollie's in Pennsylvania. It was a massive loop and just had a great time. Claudia, I forget even the story, like you couldn't make it over the weekend, but she was like, hey, let's get together and source. And we had set up some time for today. And we got together at Ollie's. I think back to your point, Brian, about community, she is just like me. Like RA is not exciting when you're doing it by yourself, but when you do it with someone that can help you, give you some knowledge, be there just so you don't look odd and awkward scanning things in the store, it changes the whole game. And for me and her, like I had a little bit more experience in Ollie's, so I could show her the things that I found that were good. Or like the first thing was she was like spending like hours on an aisle. And I was like, hey, let's cut this whole half an aisle off because all these things are useless, right? It was just bags of chips and stuff. So being with someone really changes it. So we did Ollie's, and then we went to grocery outlet. And I showed her, it was actually great for her because I showed her all the stuff that we found good in the other grocery outlets. So we were just there for like 30 minutes. It was really quick. So
yeah, let me just go ahead and piggyback on that. Yeah, 100%. Because the first of all, Ollie's for me is like an hour and I think change. And so the first time I went, I feel like I was scanning the first 2 aisles and it took me like 2 hours and I was done. By the time I even got to the 3rd aisle, I was like, mentally, I was just out of it because it was so overwhelming to just be scanning. So have I thought of going back to Ollie's? Absolutely not. And then on our call, Omar was like, hey, I'm in Jersey, I'm in New York, let's meet up. And just the power of like the community, right? And of meeting up with each other and just knowing him there. Like, that's where we met. He took me in and he was just like, exactly, just like eliminated half the aisles, was just walking me through it. It just made me feel so comfortable and explained so much to me and gave me so many pointers that help and makes me want to go back to Ollie's now, because I feel much more comfortable, as opposed to when you go on your own, you're kind of like scanning, really don't know what to look for. And when you're with someone, it makes it much more comfortable and gives you the ease of scanning and getting into the game. So definitely agree with meeting up with people and getting to know people through the Discord, through community, through networking as just alone, and just going with as many people as you can and sourcing and helping each other out. It was great. Omar, thank you.
That's awesome to hear, because like the both of you I've kind of spent a lot of time with, over time, talking with and whatnot. I can even hear it in your voice right now, Claudia, that like that was a good experience. And I bring that all up, like literally it was just like a good way to like introduce this whole community call here, is like the power of networking, right? And getting out there and actually meeting some of these people, go and source with people. You're going to learn a lot. You're not going to, there's not going to be a downside to that, right? There's a few people in this chat here that I've actually met in person as well, and I'm sure that they could all agree with it. So without dragging this out too much longer, let's just get right into, I don't want to say sourcing, because we're not going to source, right? We're not going to source, but what we are going to do is kind of start going over some of these leads and, trying to learn, kind of how the software works here. 1 second. You can see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. All right. So I dropped this chat here. I mean, this spreadsheet here in the chat, but I'll just kind of go over them myself. But absolutely, the power of networking with others, going over leads with others, and just kind of like having two eyes on one product is super, super powerful. And it doesn't just have to be in store doing RA. It could actually be, even OA stuff. Like I run leads groups where there's even a few of them in here where we'll just go over the leads all together from the leads that we get from the VA, right? And so we'll just kind of go through the processes all together, and each person will end up kind of, picking out different things that look good or bad to one another, where maybe I didn't catch that or vice versa, right? So the more eyes on one product and more eyes on the data, right, is going to be beneficial to everybody. So let's start going over this. So these are not products that I have in here priced for any specific reason. There might be buy cost entered in just because they were previously sourced, but the profit we're not really focusing on, because these are just leads. So I'm obviously using a product called Barter, which I am an affiliate to. Just want to make that clear. But nonetheless, I use their products because I have a lot of faith in the direction that they're going. And with Walmart, a lot of it's new. So no matter which of these programs you use, like WAMP, they just came out with one today. That would be SellerAmp's version. I believe it's a free version. It's in beta. But they're all going to have, very similarities and whatnot, but some do more than others. And Martyr is the one that I have found that works best for me. I believe that they're to be a little bit further ahead with some of the data. So without talking about that too much, let's just start kind of going into like what it is I'm reading here on the charts. So right off the bat, this thing here is missing a few data points, which sometimes is not the greatest because it's going to make the lead for inaccuracies. So like if this was a lower priced product right here, and the fact that this doesn't have the dimensions or weight entered in right here, going to leave this WFS cost here blank. So now it's left to me to kind of figure out what this, like how big this item is, how much it weighs, to get a somewhat of an accurate price here. Now there's a few things I can do. I can go by memory, which with time you'll kind of figure out like what certain things and sizes cost, or you can use WFS calculator, which is straight from Walmart. And if anybody has any questions as I'm going, please just interrupt and or raise your hand or whatever, put in the chat, whatever it is. It's going really slow. All right. So here you can enter in the height, length, width. Then you can also enter in the category, and I'm sorry, up here is the weight. Okay. I don't usually mess around with the category too much because it doesn't usually make a huge difference, or if any at all. I think certain categories may have other things, but so let's kind of go over like what we think this item's going to cost, just because we want to know, right? So I'm going to guess this is probably like a, maybe an 8 by like 12-inch something. So you can then come in here, enter in 8 by 12 by, I'm going to go on the thicker side, which would probably be about 3 inches. And we'll put in that it weighs a pound. I'm going to guess that that's probably right. 545 is like an average category price point for, so you got like 345, I think it's 395, 445, 495, 545. I think it goes up to like 7 next. So anyways, so you want to make sure that all fields are filled out here. WFS cost is an important one because the referral fee is just what Walmart is getting for basically listing and selling your stuff. This right here is going to be your WFS cost, which is what it costs to ship into the Walmart facility. However, if you want to do your own seller fulfillment, you can click that right there, and then you'd be able to type in your price right here. However, typically when you sell stuff seller fulfilled, it's going to cost about $1 more for items of this size. So that was 645. I mean 545. So this would probably be around like 650-ish. Maybe even a little bit higher if you were to choose like FedEx or something, and depending on how you ship it, especially this type of item. But that's enough about WFS and shipping costs. So down here, we'll go through the cost price and the sale price, and then the profit and ROI. So here you're able to obviously clearly like set these to like whatever limit you want, threshold per se, where it'll turn green or red. But then we're going to go down here to the estimated sales. This is kind of important. So estimated sales is going to be based off of how many units are moved WFS, not so much seller fulfilled. It may play a slight factor into it, but it's mainly gathering all of the WFS sales, which is from actual Walmart facilities, and then also the revenue, right? So this right here on any listing that has like, I'd say maybe like 7 or more would probably be like a pretty decent listing for Walmart. But that doesn't mean that ones that are at 0 also aren't phenomenal movers as well, because sometimes items that just sell seller fulfilled are going to have a 0 because it's not tracking the seller fulfilled sales. Walmart's just a little bit different than Amazon, right? So some stuff is a little bit more accurate than others, and some points are missing when it comes to Walmart. But here you can see the buy cost, offer count, right? So obviously this is going to have a very similar look and familiar feel to it than with Keepa. I'm trying to get this thing off the screen here. There it is. So this is going to have a very familiar look to it from Keepa. This is Marty's version of Keepa, which is called Histomart. So this is going to give you your offer count movement up and down, which is really helpful. And you got all your sellers and your review count, right? So these are going to be last verified review, verified percentage in the last 90 days, and then how many in the last 30 days and how many in the last 90 days. So right here, you can see that this product here has a decent amount of reviews, because not all products have a lot of reviews either. Another important thing that I'm going to pay attention to is the buy box winner percentage right here. So here you can see that, so today's date's 7/15, right? So you can see here that there's been multiple people, even in the past, say, month, that has gotten buy box. And what you can do, depending on how much stock they have and how fast the listing's moving, is you can kind of go back and forth between, say, here. So this person right here, Number Pro, and I'm so sorry if I ever mention anybody's store names that are on this call. But anyways, Number Pro, right? They want it today. So let's go up here and see if they're on this list. They are. Okay. So then we go down. Merry Midnight Marketplace, right? Merry Midnight. So what we're doing right now is dispense as written. I'm looking for anybody that's not on this list. Now you can see here, right? So I just found dispense as written, and they're not in the list here. However, there's a little bit of a glitch here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the store, and I want to make sure that their store name is still the same, and it is dispense as written. So I know that that's still their current name and that they're not in the buy box, in the all sellers list right here. So that says to me that since 7/13, which was only 2 days ago, they were here at $55 and they're no longer on the listing. So that tells me that obviously, most likely, it's not a guarantee, but right, it's a pretty sure shot that they were on the listing and they did sell out, especially at that price point that they were at, which was 55, right? So 55 would have been the second lowest offer. And if they were WFS, they probably most likely really did sell it. So for like a process of elimination, that right there was like a really good indicator that this had sold. And now I can obviously keep going down the list. But that one sale right there would probably tell me enough on a listing that it sold. Now this listing right here actually has a lot of buy box share, which is really, really good because with Walmart, it's a little bit different. Buy box share is going to be a little bit different than Amazon. So the fact that there is this much share is really, really important. Let's go. So this was actually a really good product, right? That wasn't it wasn't too tricky to find, to kind of figure out that this was like a good selling product. And I say that because there's quite a bit of movement here. So let's go a little bit further into this.
Hey, Brian, when you
Yes.
say that the buy box share is a little bit different, can you explain that?
Not really. So it's going to be more based. Well, because it's a lot more confusing than Amazon, right? Amazon, you're going to be based off of a lot more like rotation, right? Like, I don't know. So the best way to explain is Walmart's going to be basing a lot off of price and speed, right? So by you pricing more competitively and having it WFS, because that's going to be the faster of two options, or even seller fulfilled if they're say next door, right? Like if it's only the package is only going like to the same state. But typically WFS is going to be faster in any case. So that's what's going to kind of rotate that stuff. But sometimes, honestly, I'll have a product that, say today, I could sell 10 units of something, right? And then I'm like, oh shit, let's get more units because the product's selling really well. Now I'll get the product in, I won't go out of stock or anything, but I'll get more units in, I'll ship them in, and then it'll kind of just sit for a little while, right? It's not because it's now a bad product or it's tanked or anything. It just takes time to get back in rotation in that for that buy box rotation. So I think the answer to it really is just a buy box is going to be more rotated off of price and speed of the shipping. It's not quite as cut and dry as Amazon is. More of a waiting game with Walmart for sure. I don't know if that probably really honestly doesn't answer your question, but it's kind of the best I got for you.
It's helpful, but I think it's one of those things where you kind of got to get in there and see it and experience it.
It's not the same. I mean, it's going to be different with like a really fast moving product, like say this one right here, where it looks like it moves pretty fast. It probably would be less like noticeable. But the thing is that the way that Walmart works, right? Like, okay, so like this person right here, Midwest, this is a bad example because of the pricing difference here, right? But say number pro right here, right? Oops, I can't zoom in with this. Say number pro had buy box right now, and then there was all these other guys right here, right? But say each of these people were based out of different areas of the country, right? Each of these people would have their own like shipping speed to people closest to them. So as long as they're within like the same pricing bracket, kind of, it's gonna be to the person that's closest to them that's gonna get the buy box to the consumer that's actually going on the web page. Does that make sense?
Yep.
It's a lot more regional stuff with Walmart. So, all right. So now we can just kind of go down here. Now, again, this is going to look very similar to Keepa, right? If we were to do a side-by-side comparison, a lot of this stuff looks the same, which is great because it's less learning curves, right? So obviously you have like all these Keepa charts here. I say Keepa charts. It's called Histomart. So right here, you got your price history and such. I'm going to mainly be looking at stock count right here to see that it's moving around. I'm also going to be looking, obviously, at stability of price. But one of the parts I like most is the stock drop tracker right here, which has these bars, which are going to grow as you get, as a person gets sales. And it's going to kind of keep track of like whether it was WFS or seller fulfilled. So a couple of these here, like, let's see here, this was seller fulfilled. This was right here. That was 2 WFS, 2 WFS, 1 WFS, right? And obviously knowing whether things are seller fulfilled or WFS is going to be important, because just like Amazon, Walmart, you can also change your stock if it's seller fulfilled. So if, say, you're selling on multi-platforms, say this listing right here is the seller has it listed on Walmart and Amazon. You know, maybe they sold some of their stock on Amazon, so they lowered their stock here. You know, maybe they didn't get a real sale here, but with WFS, you can always tell for sure that they're pretty valid sales. This is what obviously a good product is going to look like on Amazon or on Walmart. But the problem is that Walmart doesn't quite have the velocity on a lot of stuff as Amazon does. So not everything's going to be quite cut and dry here. Actually, I'm going to go to like a lesser good lead. Let's go to this one right here. And the lesser good leads are going to be the ones that require a little bit more, diligence and kind of like digging in deeper on this stuff, right? So like, for instance here, this product like right off the bat, this is what I'm looking at. I'm seeing that this product sells for $38.99 on Amazon. Now I can also see that it's priced very competitively to what it is here on Walmart. So that's a good indicator. One saying that no matter where these people are going to buy it, the price is competitive. And there's different breeds of people, right? Like some people have a Walmart Plus account, some people have Amazon Prime. So, some people are just kind of dedicated to one or the other platform, but some people are out there shopping, right, for the best deal. And when they're priced competitively, obviously that's going to help on, the decision of some people. So let's go down here a little bit. I like that it has the UPC and the GTIN all filled out, has the size and weight, which to me looks pretty accurate. 0.4, 4x6, that's accurate for a video game, right? 0.18 for weight, that's great. It's got no badges. Walmart's really based off of a lot of badges. Badges are going to definitely say that they sell. Without them, that does not mean you won't have sales velocity, but badges are definitely helpful. Right off the bat here, I see 39 reviews, which is pretty good. Now I'm going to jump right down to here. So if this was a real lead, which wherever it was found for $14.99, if it's still out there, you should maybe go get it. But anyways, so $15 profit. This would have been a great item, but this again wasn't based off of price, because this was probably a really old lead off my leads list. So right here it says estimated sales 0, right? So this is what I was talking about before. Now, if there's no WFS sales, maybe that's why this is at 0, and that they're all getting seller fulfilled sales. Now, revenue is going to be based off of the same thing as the estimated sales. So we can see here that the price has been steady. There is some movement going up and down. Right, let's put this on all time. Now, all time for Martyr, or for Histomart, I should say, and the offer counts is only going to go back as far as January, because we didn't start collecting data until after that. And so just like Keepa's data is all their own. They're the ones that have been collecting it over the years, and same with Histomart. So this is all Histomart's own data it wasn't given to them by Walmart. And basically, as time goes on, we'll have more and more. So like, next year during January, it'll be, a full year cycle where you can actually see like what the year prior was doing, which is going to be really helpful. But so like this right here has some good movement. Knowing Walmart for what it does, I'm going to guess this isn't an IP, but what did happen was Walmart's has a pricing rule where everybody probably got unpublished this day because it went from 7 to 6 right here. I'm not going to worry about that so much, because I already know that PlayStation's not going to be IPing on Walmart. I can see here that the prices are all priced pretty competitively.
And Brian, when you say so if I have my item published, they're gonna like take it off of Walmart because I'm priced too high, or how does that work?
Yeah, you just said it. So, and it's not a big deal, right? Here's a for instance. I had a product. This was last week. I had just shipped in like 50 units of it as a test buy. Okay. I mean, I had a tip that it sold well, but I was the only seller on it. Like everybody had sold out. So, and I knew that a friend had behind it, just sold it. But anyways, so I listed the product. It was at $19.99. Okay. What happened was is Walmart was like, oh, well, our last record of this was only like $6, which it probably was, right? And so they ended up unpublishing my listing. And I remember I ended up calling a meeting with two of my VAs to like show them and give them an example of this. And so I'm like, all right, this is a predicament where I don't know what to do. I might have to like dramatically lower the price. By morning, my listing I dropped it like 10, 20 cents or a dollar. I don't remember what it was. It was very little. I dropped the price and it went published, right? Then later on in the day, it went unpublished. I dropped it another like 20 cents, right? And then it published and then it went back to unpublished. And it was just doing this. And I was fighting with it the whole day. I ended up getting it down to like $16, which was still a huge profit for me. It was still like over 100% ROI. And so eventually I got it to, I ended up selling all 47 of these units in like 48 hours, maybe. So it's weird what they do. They just kind of play with you. So say like Walmart detected that Amazon was having a sale for like half the price. They're just detecting that, your price too high, but this could change throughout the day, today and tomorrow. Like there's no real rhyme or reason to it. You just kind of have to, I usually typically ignore it, honestly. I don't usually worry about it because eventually within a couple of days, it can just fix itself. Does that answer your question?
Yes. And I guess a question, do you use a repricer? I forgot.
I do. Yeah, I use Flash Pricer.
Okay.
Which is
but
also
you're doing
a
lot of manual repricing now?
No. So like with a product like that, I believe I had shut the repricer off just so that I could manually adjust the price because I didn't want the price to jump up any more than it was. So I think I shut the repricer off and then I just kept adjusting it down and down and down until I could get it to stay published. And eventually I got it to stay published long enough that it sold out like almost immediately. I mean, people were buying like 12 packs of these things. It was crazy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, Brian, quick question.
Yes,
I
of
know
course.
for this Walmart sales, there is a lot of toys or whatnot went on sale, right? For me, I think the point was like, okay, everybody wants to get that. Let's say 10 sellers bought when the price went down, and now the sale is off, and now people list it. So there were already people on the listings, right? Like let's say 10, and now people might already bought, like us, already bought like coming at a cheaper price, and now my lister or the resellers count increases, which means my inventory is basically sitting until whatever that price, and also the price tanking happens with so many sellers jumping on the listing. Did you see that? I know you bought some for this during this holiday season. Was there somewhere like, hey, it's out of stock, I can get it now and I'll be the seller? I had that happen to me. I was like, oh, it is out of stock, nobody's there. And then by the time I got it, I prepped it and I want to send it into WFS, I already saw some like 4 or 5 sellers on it. And then the price tanked, I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, actually, a couple of being specifically me and a friend, we ended up buying like 60 or 70 units of this one product where we were the last. I was literally the very last offer on the listing, and I just went deep on it. And by the time my stuff landed WFS, Walmart was on the listing with like 4,000 units. There was a whole laundry list of people on this listing, and that was actually, I think, in February. I literally just sold out of all my inventory just recently. So it does happen. Sure does.
Thank you.
I mean, yeah, jumping on opportunities like that can be good and bad. I mean, yeah, I should have known that something was going to happen just because it was it's still a very popular item.
I got something, it's not during this sale. It was in clearance in Walmart, and they're My stuff checked in last Saturday or Friday or this Monday sometime. And I sent in like 21. That's all I could find. And all I have left is 6 right now within 4 days.
That
I'm
is
like,
good.
I wish I could find more, but yeah.
Yeah, of course. That's the fun part about RA is or even OA is just chasing that next, you know. They're all short-lived. It's not quite like wholesale where you can just keep replanting the same item, you know, easily for 3 months or so on a usually 3 month cycle on a wholesale item. But yeah. All right, where was I? So the offer count here, like this right here was all priced very competitively. The sellers, right? So I'm going to see here, we got Shop Premium. Shop Premium has one, VIP. They're not on there. Okay, so that was on 7/5. That was only 10 days ago. Again, now here though, I want to point out that this person was selling it for $21, and so that was right here. You can see $21 on the lowest price history here. So I wouldn't base it off of that because I'm not going to be able to sell it for 21 unless they had sold it for 21 and did some crazy, $19 shipping cost, which is very unlikely. Mile High, they're still on this. So because this offer count looks really good, but to me, any of the sellers that the buy box caught doesn't really show proof of sales. So I need to dig deeper on this item. So we have this right here where it says here, can't scroll over, I think it zoomed in too much. All right, so 1 WFS sale right there, 2 right there. I mean, maybe this item does sell, but it is lacking some data, right? Like the charts are a little bit shy on data. Let's go into data right here.
What are these
Offers.
charts, Brian? Where are
Yeah.
these from
Yep.
Martyr?
Yeah, these are all for Martyr. So this is all Histomart right here,
Okay.
so you have your profit calculator, then you have your offer count right here. But then if you go and actually have the Histomart app, you get this Chrome extension right here, which is like in the listing here. So again, it's all very, very similar to Keepa and whatnot. But this one right here is going to be the lowest price history, buy box history. This right here is each seller's specific stock. You can see here at the bottom. These are different store names down here. Right here is going to be your ratings and reviews. This right here is if the product has any badges. And then this right here is your stock drop tracker, which is going to be like sales velocity. I'm typically looking at the all-time, not all-time, but the offer count history right here. I'm looking at data under offers, and I'm looking at specific sellers, stock count. Like I'm looking for stuff like this. The stock history count on Keepa is just as kind of sketch where it's not always as accurate on per seller listings. So you're going to be missing a lot of sales in here. But if you can find just a couple, like this one right here, Mile High Bargains, right? You can see here they started off with 15 units and then they're down to 10 right here. So the fact that this was able to capture this many sales is a good thing just for me and my sake of like knowing if the product is actually moving. And it shows here, from April to July, which is kind of a long time for just 5 sales. They did go down to 9, so they could have gotten maybe a return or more units were found from their shipment, or maybe they shipped in a few more. I'm kind of doubting that, but so it goes from 15 here, has a nice little step ladder, 9, 12, 9. So I could have even been a glitch, maybe even, I'm not sure. But the fact that it does show some sales helps me. Like this person here went from 3 to 1. So Shop Premium, and those were a few of the people there that we saw here in the buy box winning history. that had gotten buy box that were still in here, which doesn't mean that they didn't sell it. It just means that they didn't sell out of it. Like here, I'm able to prove, most likely at least a few different shop premium. See, they're WFS, so that means that you can see right here, WFS check mark. So you can see here that these were probably real sales. It just looks, in my opinion, this item looks really, really slow. And I probably wouldn't want to risk it just because of how long I'd be sitting on something that I feel like, maybe if this was the real margins right here, maybe it's worth it, right? To buy like a couple of them, but I wouldn't expect to like get rich off of this thing just because of how slow it is. I can't promise that either, because at the end of the day, Walmart is Walmart. You just need to test these things, right?
Couple quick questions for you, Brian.
Yep, go ahead.
One is, so this is from the chat, and I think I'm going to answer this, but Martyr and Histomart, they're separate products, right? You need to pay for those subscriptions separately?
Yeah, so, Martyr, wow, Martyr, watch, this is the name of the website. Yeah, it is. Yeah, so like you have within Martyr, you have a couple of different, let's see here. Yeah, so right here, so you have a number of different softwares right here. So you have Martyr, which is their profit calculator, Alerts, which we can get into here in a minute, MOA, which is going to be your sourcing software. Inventory Falcon is like Inventory Lab, where it's your inventory creation, shipment creation tool. Histomart, which is Keepa. Seller, which is going to be more of your like wholesale catalog scanner. And then Nepeto is for Amazon, which is a whole different software. But so yes, they are all separate in separate pieces. However, you can buy the Pioneer bundle, right, where that's going to have all these things in one. 65 is going to be, I believe, without the Nepeto, and with Nepeto, I believe it's 100. I think that's I think with the Nepeto, you just get the app, and then if you pay the 100, you get the PC version of Nepeto as well. But anyways, this is about Walmart. So
okay.
yeah,
And
so
the
they are all separate, but they also are there is a bundle, and I do have a code in the link that I put there where you can get this down to, I think, 55-ish. I think.
Okay, and I didn't realize. I guess that's a great point, because I didn't realize they were all under the same umbrella. But do you do mostly WFS, or you fulfill on your own too sometimes?
Very rarely am I doing seller fulfilled. The only times that I'm mainly going to do it is if I'm forced to do it, right? Because not everything you can convert to WFS. Some things get hung up, and those are the things that I'll end up doing seller fulfilled. However, it's really not something I like doing. I don't like post offices. I don't like the lines. I don't like packing stuff. It's just not, I'm not a fan of it. With Walmart, you make more money doing WFS as well. It's more my thing. I don't want to have to get like a bunch of different size boxes. And, I don't know, I end up buying stuff I can barely even get it shipped in, let alone to the customer.
Yeah, and I was asking that really for like a follow-up question, just around like storage. And I assume, like everything else, storage for Walmart is cheaper and
super cheap. I paid like $30 last month, and I have like probably a little over 10 grand worth of inventory in there.
Copy. Okay, perfect.
It's cheap. It's really cheap. I think, and it fluctuates too, right? Depending on like how fast my stuff's moving. Like 1 month, I think I went from 30 down to 18, and then back to 30. So it's cheap though. Amazon, it was way more than that. I'm going to jump on to the next lead here. Let's see what else we can look at here for examples.
And I guess while he's jumping to the next lead, anybody have any questions about what you've kind of seen? This is a lot that we're looking at.
No questions?
Nope. Oh, and if you just people have been dropping emails in the chats. If you want access to the notes, just drop an email in the chat. I'm consolidating the stuff that Brian has given us and putting it in one sheet.
All right, let's look at this one here. All right. Again, this is one of those listings where I appreciate that all of this information is filled out. However, I get right down here to the weight, and I see that this is much less than a quarter pound, right? I don't think that this weighs less than a quarter pound. It just doesn't look like it to me. It looks too big. I'm going to jump right down to the reviews, and I want to kind of see if I can find like a realistic picture of what the product looks like. And right there's no way that that's what that weighs. So less than 0.2 of a pound is going to be like a very light, like supplement, or, you know, a very small, like kids pair of socks or something like that. This thing weighs more than that. So right off the bat, I already know that this isn't going to be correct because this is more than that. So if we got in this, and then I start looking at it too, 2.5 by 1.9 by 1.5 are not the dimensions. I know that just within the amount of stuff that I've shipped before, this is probably going to be 450. So I need to go ahead and change that right away to 450, right? Because just because it's filled in doesn't mean that it's accurate. Reviews look great. There's no badges. Now this here says reported gated. What brand is it? So it's Bluey. I've sold Bluey before and I haven't had an issue with it, but I think that in the earlier stages of Walmart, a lot of people had made, or a few people had maybe reported this gated, which was more of like a community gathered data right here, where everybody has kind of, you know, some people can report gated for brands, and that'll be an indicator on if the product is going to be gated or not. I don't think Bluey is. I've sold it, so I don't think that this is an issue. But that is something I didn't bring up before, where if this was in red, it would mean like most likely, let's see here. I was just going to say, so Barbie, like right here, is reported. It's actually not red, it's orange, but it's been reported 22 times that it was gated. Now, Barbie is not gated. It might be for a newer seller, but as far as I'm concerned, I haven't heard of many people being gated in Barbie. That doesn't mean that people aren't, but from when I had started learning all about Walmart, it wasn't an issue. Let's go back to this. So again, that price there had changed. I caught on to that. ROI, because I don't have a price in here, so I'd have to put something in to kind of see that. So I need to get this for, you know, $4.99 or less. I don't know how possible that's going to be. I see these things at Walmart all the time. I don't ever see them that low in price. So my guess is that a lot of these people are probably just kind of selling break even right now, because I honestly think I remember seeing them for closer to $7, which makes sense, because, or even $6.50, you know, it's somewhere around there that these people probably bought this at like a previous Walmart clearance. I do remember seeing these too.
But Brian, if you see the seller count, is that even worth now? You know, I know you're showing this as an example, but 46 is very high, right?
What is it? 46?
Yeah, the seller count. I think if you scroll up.
Oh, you mean how many sellers there are?
Sellers, yeah.
Honestly, the amount of sellers isn't going to matter to me. So the way I'm looking at it, and this is not a great example. However, if this item's selling here at $12, we'll say $12 to $14 is like right, like just these people right here. And then you can see here, these kind of start jumping up in price, $14.99, you know, all the way up to 30. Because like, I don't really look at any of these people right here as being my competition. If I were selling this, I would be shooting, that means that I would be profitable at $12, and my competition is really just 12 and just over, right? Maybe up to like 14, because of like, just because, you know, you can obviously sell this. Somebody could be buying this today, like even right now, right? The lowest offer isn't the buy box. So I'm going to guess that, you know, if I were to be getting a sale, it would be between 12 and 14 on this. So this really right here is my competition, which isn't, it is still quite a few units. A lot of these people are WFS. That's another thing I'm going to want to look at. How many of these people are WFS? Because that's where I'm going, right? So I'm going to be based off of the same shipping speeds, most likely, as these other WFS. So now I'm also going to be priced more in this 12.96 range, not so much the 12, right? So that helps out a little bit right here, which is, well, that's already entered there.
I think that's a great point, Brian. I think you really made a great, based on your price, I think you have to
Yeah.
look at your competition, not
Yeah,
the
yeah.
entire sellers. I think in my
Yeah.
mind right now, I'm looking at the entire sellers, but not where my price point and number of
Yeah,
sellers.
this is kind of a bad example and also not a good lead, right? Me personally, I wouldn't even jump on this listing just because there's just too many red factors right here to me. I mean, this even jumped down to $8 right there. There's a lot of stock in general. A lot of these people are very close priced, which it's, unless this thing was a very fast, well moving item, I would just stay away from this. Now, as we get down here, some of this stuff actually looks pretty good, right? We got a couple of people here that are new, but like, let's see here. Okay, I'd have to sort this by name. It's kind of hard to go on this one on a speed basis, but there's a lot of people here to go through. I wouldn't go with this lead, but it does have some good factors, right? It has a lot of rotation here. Up here on the offer count, you can see like a steady gradual decline, right? I think that people had gone hard on this during a Walmart sale and are just kind of breaking even at this point, just because they want to get rid of it. Now, there is some stuff going on with toys that was supposed to launch today. I wasn't affected by it yet, but who knows what will happen in the future. So people might have been planning for, just getting rid of stock as well, especially if you have it all WFS. A lot of that's going to end up getting hurt here soon. Go on to the next one. Actually, does anybody have questions because I don't want to keep going on these if anybody has anything they want talked about. Any questions?
You seem all right so far.
We can keep going.
I know, really, for me, like I'm gonna have to get in here and play with this stuff. I mean, it's just like anything else, just spending time, getting used to it.
Yeah. I think yes and no. I mean, we can wrap this call up with kind of like some guideline, or not guidelines, but like some pointers that I think would help for any Walmart seller getting started, right?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Test buy. Get your ass to the store, go buy some test buys. It's going to be easier to do this stuff in store, right? Just go buy 2 units of something, 3 units maybe, list it online, test it out, see what happens, right? You get one sale, 2 sale, right? Those are going to be like your where you're gathering your data, right? 1, 2, or 3, or 2 and 3, right? It won't really be so much 1. There'll be, I don't know how many times I'll ship stuff into WFS, and the day that it checks in, 1 unit will sell, but then the other 5 units, 10 units will sit for, weeks, right? So I want to see how fast like 1 to 3 units or 2 to 3 units sell, not so much 1 unit. So by just going out there, getting a bunch of different stuff, go wide, go deep, not deep, I'm sorry, but going wide is with different categories and just buying a bunch of stuff. Right? You're gonna say out of 10 leads, right? You're probably gonna, I would hope that you find 1 good lead. That 1 good lead, go source every store you possibly can. Go buy, as many of those you can, right? At the end of like say 2 or 3 months, you're gonna have built up a catalog because there isn't as much price tagging with Walmart, right? The leads lifespan lasts longer than it does Walmart. I mean, Amazon. Amazon, they kind of die out, like, in my opinion, many times they die out in like a month, right? There's like one life cycle to it where it just doesn't last. So with Walmart, you have a little bit longer of a lifespan with products. It just takes time. Like, you just going out there, buying stuff, trying it out, and getting your own data, right?
Any space, anything, is there a category that you think is good for beginners to test out?
I think it's a really hard direction to give an answer to right now. Walmart's going under some scrutiny right now. Today, they were supposed to launch toys ages under 12, above 3, I think it is, something like that. Where they're launching we're going to have to supply CPC documents, basically. Because if you had asked me this like a month ago, what would I say to go a beginner would be to go get? And that would be, toys. Toys was easy. That's what I got started on. And I think a lot of other people got started with toys as well on Walmart. But, as time goes, things change. I don't know the answer to that right now. I think, what's a specific category? Let's see. Home stuff, maybe home decor. A lot of so far anyways, I haven't been affected by any like beauty care stuff. Makeup probably will end up being an issue from what I hear. Like soaps, cleaners, stuff like that. You got kitchen, utensils and stuff like that, I think is really good. Definitely stay away from supplements right now.
What's the issue with supplements?
Supplements, I got myself and everybody else, but got errors the other day for supplements. Pretty much we were shut down. They say they're requiring extra documentation now, which doesn't seem that feasible.
Okay, I feel like I read a couple of headlines recently, and this wasn't about Walmart, it's about Amazon, about the amount of fakes on Amazon as far as supplements is concerned.
Yep. Yeah, they're now requiring like where you bought it, authorizations, and I haven't really looked into it yet, but
yeah, you think they were doing that from the start, but yeah, I guess better late than never.
I think they're just trying to tighten up, and I don't think it's so much Walmart that cares. I think that there's some influence behind all of it, higher up, more government-wise stuff.
Sure. Okay. All right. Any other additional tips before we close it out?
Test. I mean, I don't know how many calls I had like this in the beginning when I was getting started, right? I'd be on the calls with all these big shots and everything, and I'd be like, what's the secret sauce, right? What do I need to do? I can't figure out, what a good product looks like, because prior to me using Martyr, right, I was basing it off of just very basic data, reviews and stuff like that. And I think that the best piece of advice that continuously was given to me by all these people I've talked to was test. It's unfortunate that it's not quite cut and dry, but you just got to test them out, right? I mean, obviously we have these tools that can help things, navigate our way through stuff and find, good leads or what we think is good leads, but you still have to test it. I wouldn't recommend anybody going deep on a product without having tested it once, right? Sometimes people do, sometimes myself does included, but I had some sort of indication that it was going to sell. So my word of advice is 2 things. Pair up with a buddy and just test. Each of you test. One test one thing, another test another. Meet back in the middle with some, some sales or even, negatives. I think that's what I'll leave it off with.
So if I may, Brian, I know I was in the same boat Omar was in. So Omar, the other thing is like, let's say if you go to a store and see like, hey, out of stock, yes, I can sell, but make sure you list it on Seller Central first.
Sure.
To see if there is an error coming up,
Yeah, so, of course. And with time, you kind of build a catalog and you're like a mental catalog as to what's, what you're approved for or not. I really haven't had to ungate much on Walmart. I mean, maybe under 6 brands. It's not many. So, you kind of build like I said, like a mental catalog as to what's what's gated and what's not. But definitely test a product in your catalog first before going too deep on anything. Especially if you intend on sending it WFS, list it WFS first before buying it, because there's a chance that you may buy something, buy it, and then you only end up being able to sell it fulfilled.
Yeah, an example, Brian. I know I reached out to Michelle this morning. I had this brand from Ollie's. It's out of stock. I was like, yeah, great. And I did put it in Seller Central and nothing errored out. But there are two types in it. So the one type I put in Seller Central did not error out. And I bought the second one, and then I did not think about doing it again because it's the same brand.
Yeah.
And then it errored
Always the
out,
case,
it
though.
comp error. And then the one which was there, I think somebody bought it to see because it's, I don't know, trademark or whatnot. They got my whole company name, my name, and sent me this email letter basically saying cease and desist, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, why would Walmart allow me to even list that brand of any, format? So right now that stuff is in WFS, and the letter states it's like I have 3 days. I'm like, whatever. So I just put a removal order from WFS to send that inventory back to me. But I don't know if you have any experience in Ollie's. If you remove the sticker, if I have the receipt, can I go back and return them? Do you know, Brian?
Your question is, can you return something that you took the sticker off of?
Yes, and also
Yeah,
I was telling
absolutely.
Omar to be careful, right? As you're saying, test if it converts to WFS. For me, it did, and then now I got this letter, so I'm like,
Yeah, you can definitely return it. It might be a little bit more problematic, but I mean, you can go about it in a couple ways. If you know where it is on your receipt, that'll help.
okay,
And the other thing is also, if you have to go grab another item off the shelf and just tell them, you took the stickers off and you need to return it. This is the item. But I've returned stuff before, no issue without having the sticker on, but I was able to kind of point at the receipt what it was.
okay. Was it
And
beyond 30 days or before 30 days, Brian?
Honestly, I've done it both. I
Okay,
try to keep stuff under 30 days just because, but I definitely returned stuff after 30 days to Ollie's and they've been okay with it. Sometimes you just end up with a gift card.
And I just brought some barbecue sauce in Ollie's and it didn't have any price tags on it at all. So not everything has price tags on it.
Sure.
And to be honest, I don't think most of those people in there care. So I mean, I don't think you have a problem.
It's always a struggle with Ollie's returns. I think they're just lengthy.
Oh, is it really? Huh.
I think so. Just because they have to, I don't know. Maybe it's because I never know exactly what receipt it's on because I buy so much.
Yeah.
It is always a trip.
Okay. All
Well,
right.
if you want to stop the recording, and if anybody has anything to say after you stop it, I always like to stay on for a couple minutes because sometimes people like to talk after it's done recording.
Yeah, that was pretty funny last time. But yeah, sure.
Yeah. I'll give it here like 5 minutes or so if anybody wants to ask anything.